Our new co-host bit my butt.
What?
The mosquito that's in here. There's a mosquito, and it's torturing me. If you hear me clapping during the middle of the show, I'm eating a mosquito.
You're eating it?
Yeah, I'm like, grab it and eat it so he knows what it feels like to be eaten.
Okay. I see.
Is this the kind of energy and buzz you want to start the show?
It wasn't what I was expecting, no. But we're back.
We're back. Oh, man.
We've lived a lot of lives.
It's a lot like a sitcom where they come in and they haven't talked an entire car ride.
Yeah, like a thing happens.
Since the last podcast.
A thing happens and it goes to commercial break and it comes back to them like walking into the house or walking into the restaurant and they're just now reacting to the thing that happened.
Just picking up the last conversation.
Like y'all didn't talk the whole car ride over about this? Nope.
No, that's us. Yeah. We haven't talked since the last time we were on the podcast.
It's nice to talk to you. Yeah.
Welcome.
We've just been staring at each other in silence
for
a few weeks. Yeah, good. Good to see you.
Where were you last week?
I've been all over. School ended and survived graduation and then
barely
immediately jumped on a plane. Well, not immediately because I got to see Annabelle Monaghan first. So
that's true. We're
going to talk about that. Yeah, but we got to go to Nashville. That was nice.
Go to Nashville.
You were doing a work thing and I tagged along.
Had a work event. Never been to Nashville before.
Yeah, first time.
Kind of liked it.
Cool. Yeah.
Beautiful state.
Like green. Everything was so green.
Yeah. The cliff faces and the rock faces, and I drove, so it was getting out of Texas and East Texas was okay, and then you get to Arkansas, which is actually beautiful.
Yeah.
But then, man, I'm telling you, Nashville was awesome. I really liked it.
I did not drive. I flew, and it was
Are your arms tired?
It was not a 12-hour drive, which was nice. But yeah, you did talk about the scenery, but it was nice. We had a little Airbnb, little rental house, and I worked during the day while you were at the event, and then we'd go out at night with the people.
We went down to Broadway, and they have a whole rooftop scene. I guess that's the thing with the rooftops. And every country artist on earth apparently has a restaurant down there.
That's true. We got to visit several, and it was cool how there were like different levels that we like. The first night we went to Jason Aldean's restaurant and we were down there eating, and there were people singing and performing. And then they were like, let's go up to the rooftop, which I didn't even know there were rooftops. And then go upstairs and it's a whole different vibe, like a whole different party, different band. That we had no idea was up there, and I just didn't realize that like all of the places are similar,
like tiered.
Yeah, where they just have multiple shows going on the different levels and different music, different everything. So it was really
fun.
Cool.
Lots of live music. That was
really fun. I do love live music. That was really cool. Lots of good music, really good performers, and they were setting up for CMA Fest was starting, so we got kind of the beginning of that, but pretty much left right as it was starting. But it was nice to get away. I think one of my favorite parts was like when everything would wind down at night, we'd get back to the house, like just getting to sit and talk uninterrupted. Which we did talk. I'm giving our secret away.
No, we did talk,
we didn't sit in silence, but to get so much uninterrupted time to talk about the book that we're writing and the characters and like really get into depth without interruptions or, different things going on. It was just nice.
Part of it's getting aligned too, right? We talked about a lot of things and then, well, what did you take from that conversation? What did I take? And how do you feel this character should act? And why are they acting that way? What's the motivation?
And I think what it made me really excited about being able to sit and talk at like such length and such depth for this book is made me really excited too, that now that school's out and summer's here, we have a little more free time. I had my big like graduation and all my end of year stuff with school. You had this big work event that we went to Nashville for. Now we can kind of shift a little bit in our personal time to focusing on the book. And we've been talking about doing a writer's retreat. The boys both have things coming up where they're going to be traveling or doing school events and things for the summer.
I think you just want to hang out.
I just want to get locked in a room with you.
Okay. So let's stop the recording and tell me more about that.
Yeah, let's take a little pause. But no, that's just what I was thinking about. Just Nashville just gave me like a little peek into what it will be like when we can kind of shut out everything else and the things that have been pulling our attention, which are all necessary. But now it's like we're getting to choose how we spend our time a little bit. And I'm excited to do a writer's retreat and like finally take all this that we've been talking about and turn it into a book.
Take all the clay and make bricks.
But in the meantime, before we get to that, our kids are keeping us busy and not bored.
No,
because
not.
Yesterday we were hanging out, trying to relax and enjoy the weekend, de-stress after a busy week of travel.
And then what happened?
End of school, and you get a phone call.
And I got a phone call
from our oldest.
Hey, Dad, I just got in an accident. I rear-ended somebody.
Yeah, first fender bender.
So I was like, okay, where are you? And I ran out to him, and he
said, is everybody okay? Yeah. He had a friend with him. We're like, make sure they call him.
Make sure everybody's fine. Yeah.
Everybody was good. It was a true definition of a fender bender.
It was. They got each other pretty good.
Yeah, low speed, thankfully, but clipped the back end of her car with the front end of his. So we get to navigate insurance and what happens with our premium. Already
That's
having
like a good learning experience for Jack to take care of.
Well, yeah, he's going to be making a phone call to the insurance company tomorrow and giving his statement. But we just said, oh, this will be interesting because it's already very expensive to have a 17-year-old boy on your insurance policy. Now we're adding an at-fault accident. So this will be fun.
We'll see. It'll be fine.
Life's an adventure. It's so
good. We've got billions of dollars, right?
Right, just billions and just sitting in the bank. Yeah, yep. But so that's fun. But no, truly, we're just thankful. Everybody was okay. It was very minor, and he did a great job calling and asking for help, and you know, he knew what to do. And
the other lady was like a college student as well. Yeah, so she called her family, and everybody
showed up
still, and it wasn't a big deal, but just
another first experience for us. Yeah,
accidents happen.
Yeah, it's
he was good though.
Lots of excitement. Yeah, he just kept feeling like, oh man,
I can't believe it. Oh man,
I was doing everything right. He's like, there's times where I'm kind of taking risks, or I know, that's risky. He goes, but this time I was not. I was doing everything right. We didn't have the music loud. My phone was nowhere near me. I wasn't talking or distracted. Yeah. It just happens.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, that's what we told him. That's why they're called accidents. Yeah. But fun times, yeah.
Oh, fun.
But between that and our Nashville trip, it's like we've just been getting all this inspiration for
so much inspiration,
plots and drama and conflict.
Isn't that how which Abby book opens with the accident and then the dog jumping in the?
Oh yeah, that's her second book. That's a Happy Ever After playlist.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Maybe that's our inspiration. Maybe we'll open with a car accident.
You're already opening at a grandma's funeral.
Oh, yeah.
It's already pretty dramatic.
Pretty bloom with my opening.
I think so. I know. Speaking of opening, you want to open with our music?
You want me to sing it or you want me to play it?
I guess let's just play it this time. Maybe next time you can sing it. This instrumental piece. Welcome to Our Next Chapter podcast.
Welcome.
I'm Andrea.
And I am Matthew.
Oh, Matthew today.
Yeah.
See, is this like an alter ego?
I'm feeling saucy.
Okay. We're a married couple, married 20 years together, 25. We have two boys who are 13 and 17. And as we approach this next chapter of our lives, as our boys grow and begin to move out into the world, we decided to write a rom-com novel together. And this podcast is documenting that journey. So thank you for coming along with us.
Yeah.
We've been just figuring out our characters, Alex and Indy.
Yeah.
And what their stories are.
We have a lot of people reaching out. We usually do fan feedback around this time, but we had people reaching out. Where's the episode? Where's the episode?
That is true.
Very nice. Very kind.
We're sorry we missed last week through our travels, but thank you for holding us accountable. And we were bummed to miss too. We missed the interaction with you guys and getting to talk about this, but we did spend a significant amount of time just developing it more, and so we're excited to share that with you and see what you think. But yeah, first, before we get into all our book stuff,
Yeah.
before I came and met you in Nashville, I know you were really sad about not getting to go to this, but I got to go to an
So bummed.
an author event with one of our favorites, Annabelle Monahan. She was here in Dallas for an event at Half Price Books. Just to talk about her new novel. It's a love story, and it was so fun just to hear her and hear about her writing process.
And Annabelle wrote the book we're currently reading.
Yes.
No
So
goes off script.
I read her book Summer Romance first, really loved it, talked about it a ton with you and my friends, and I just kept saying, everybody's got to read this. It's so good. I really loved her female lead, and just her writing style. And so then you and I started reading her first novel, which is called Nora Goes Off Script, and you've said you really
I
liked
really,
it.
really like it. It's
Definitely
one of my favorites.
Yeah, one of your favorites, which I had Annabelle dedicate the book because I purchased Nora Goes Off Script while I was there and had her sign it to you.
All right.
But it was really fun just to hear her talk about her writing process. I'm excited to read this new book. It's a love story together. And one thing I've loved and I've talked about with her before is how she talks about writing strong women. And she talked about that again in the Q&A before we got to meet and do the meet and greet. She talked about how it's important to her that she writes women that don't have to be saved by a man. She's like, they're going through stuff, but they're strong themselves. And she's like, in my experience in real life, the guys are often damaged or need help. And so she just said, like, I haven't known a woman saved by a man. And she said this quote that I thought that was so good. She goes, well, maybe a fireman, like maybe a woman's been saved by a fireman. She said that I love this quote. If you're unhappy, there's not a man that can fix you. And I really like that. I was like, yeah, like you have to work on yourself first. And I love that in her books, these women are strong and they are going through hard stuff, but they're working on themselves. They are saving themselves and getting themselves out of their situation.
They're taking responsibility for themselves.
Yeah. And their circumstances or whatever it may be. And like, I really like that. I'm really, really drawn to that. But in this new book, it's about Jane and Dan. And Jane is like a former child actress that I saw an article where she said she listened to I'm Glad My Mom Is Dead by Jeanette McCurdy, who was a child star from like Nickelodeon who just recently.
You read that one, right?
It was good. Yeah, it was really good. I did the audio, which Jeanette recorded. And it was just talking about her life and her mom and the abuse that she suffered and kind of like what she went through as a child star. Well, Annabelle said she was inspired by Jeanette when hearing her book and her story. And so she wrote Jane, who's like a former child star who's now written a movie that she's trying to get produced. And she has to like work with the guy that's kind of her nemesis, that she tells some kind of a lie that then now she's got to make reality to see this through to make her movie happen. But what I love that Annabelle said is, so I've only read the first like maybe chapter of the book when I was sitting there listening to her talk, or waiting for her to come in. And she talked about how in love she is with this guy, Dan, who I haven't learned the lovable side of him yet. I'm only seeing Jane's perspective. So I know you and I are going to read the book together, but just like getting in the first couple pages, it's like, oh, she rolls her eyes. Of course, this would be him, but hearing Annabelle talk about him, she just says, Dan is the cutest man alive. She said, of all the men I've written, he's the man for me. She said, I like a quiet man, which I thought is really funny. And so she talked about Leo Vance, who's the lead in the book you and I are reading, Nora Goes Off Script. And she's like, Leo Vance is dead to me. It's all about Dan now. So I thought that was really cute that she's just so in love with him. And somebody even said something later about, so when you're making up these characters, she said, listen, Jane is made up. I made her up, but Dan is real. Like she needs to truly believe that Dan is real. But it was awesome just hearing her talk about her process and this new book. And then also just the moderator was kind of going through her like fun facts that are on her website about herself. And one of the things is that she keeps every love letter she's ever received. And so they asked about that. And she said that she keeps them because she never knows if she's going to get another one. I was like, that's kind of cute. But yeah, that she has them. But she was just talking about Jane, like as a former child star and stuff, just has a real sense of unworthiness. And then, but Dan's just this very like confident, this is who I am, and then
the summer of Dan and Jane, huh?
Yeah, because Colleen Oakley wrote Jane and Dan at the End of the World. Yeah, so they've kind of bantered online about both of their characters having the same names in their summer books this year, which she did talk about names too. I thought this was so smart. She was talking and doing this interview, and then all of a sudden she said, is there a Dolly here? And everybody kind of looked around and no, she's like, I was hoping she'd be here. She said, well, last year at this time when I came through Dallas on my tour, this woman walked up to me and said, hi, I'm Dolly. And she said, and I just thought that's the cutest thing ever. She said, so my lead in my new book is Dolly. And so she was saying that when she does meet and greets and she personalizes books for people, they put sticky notes in the books with the name. She keeps the sticky notes of names that she likes that are creative or different or whatever. She said, you run out of names. And I was like, that's a really smart idea. But that's where Dolly came from, Dolly from Dallas. And now her lead character of her book that's coming out next summer will be Dolly. But somebody asked you about advice for authors, which my ears perked up for this. And so she said she had two big pieces of advice for authors. One is read. You have to read. She said you have to just consume everything, all different genres and authors and things like that. And then she said write the book that only you can write. And so she was just like, whatever story is on your heart.
That's to write what you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I thought a lot about, because I felt like even when we were talking in Nashville and as we've developed this, like we are leaning heavily on what we know and our own background. And even for our author of the week this week, which is not Annabelle, she's been our author of the week before, but we did get to meet her, so we had to talk about this encounter. But our author of the week is very similar, especially with her first book, and I'll talk about that. But I just thought that was interesting, is like write the book that only you can write. And I think that was good advice, because it's easy to compare yourself. I feel like a lot of times when you and I are reading these, I just get in my head of, we could never write this. We could, and I'm just so impressed with the things that these authors come up with, or the way that they say something, or the human insights that they touch on and describe so well. So I love that. That was really like empowering, I think, when I heard her say that, of just write the book that only you can write. So it was so fun to meet her. And my favorite part at the end was getting to wait in line and go to meet her. And I was telling her how sad you were that
so sad
you couldn't be there
and do the work thing. I was sad.
Just the timing of it. But I had asked you beforehand, like, what do you want me to tell her? And you had said that she's probably your favorite author we've written so far because she writes like you think. So I just like,
yeah, it's just very like that's the main thing for me. She writes a lot like the voice that's in my head. It's clean, it's clear, it's crisp.
Yeah, somebody used that to describe her writing.
There's less flowery stuff in it, and I think for my brain and my ADHD, that is really helpful sometimes. And the characters make real choices, and they're thinking a little logically. And the basis of any great book is multiple insights, like life lessons and things that when you read them, you go, that is me, or you go, oh, I get that feeling, it brings real book.
Yeah.
She's good at weaving those in a way that doesn't feel like, not the word's not preachy, but it's like, hey, look at this thing I figured out. We see a lot of these authors who get 2 or 3 good ones and they really want to lean into them. You're like, well, yes, but
she has really creative ways of portraying those human insights. And it can just be this simple sentence, and I'll find myself highlighting like, wow, that's such a smart way to say that. But when I was talking to her, one of the things she mentioned in the Q&A with the interviewer was that there's a running joke in this new book, and it's a love story with Jane and Dan, that he loves The Notebook and she hates it or won't watch it or something. And I just started laughing because I was like, this is a running joke we've had on this podcast. So it's like my favorite, and Matt refuses to watch it. And
matter of principle.
Exactly. So when I went to meet her, I told her, Matt's so sad he couldn't be here, but I'm on this crusade to get him to watch The Notebook. It's my favorite movie. And so she personalized Nora Goes Off Script for you and put, Matt, watch The Notebook. And I love that. Like, she joined my team to try to get you to watch it, because she said, I guess she was having a conversation with her editor or somebody, because she had made this statement about like people who haven't seen The Notebook, like that they were concerned that, oh, you make this reference to The Notebook. Well, what if people haven't seen it? And she was like, who are these people? Everyone's seen The Notebook. So then it became this joke in the book. And I'm like, yeah, my husband is one of those people who refuses to watch this amazing movie. And so I love that she joined that with me and wrote that in the book to you. And just trying to bully you into watching it with me. So,
and she bullied me on social media.
Yeah, it was good. She said, yeah, don't be a hater, Matt. Watch the movie. Yeah. So we so appreciate that. But it was just such a pleasure to meet her. She's so like such one of our like and like writers we look to and look up to. Yeah, and she's so generous. Like that's something I thanked her for when I met her. She is really generous on social media and interacting with us, and she's reposted things that we've done, and we're just really grateful for that. And it was great to get advice from her and just kind of like learn from her experience. So it was so nice. And she told you to watch The Notebook, so she's my favorite.
I know, it's so bittersweet for me. I'm so glad you got to meet her. I'm sad I didn't.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorites.
We'll have to go next time.
Next time she comes through.
No, next summer when the book about Dolly comes
Maybe
out.
I'll watch The Notebook. We can talk.
Yes, you can tell.
Never.
Finally.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh man, I thought I was so close.
We could watch it and have a whole episode about The Notebook.
Yeah, maybe that could be the one that we record ourselves live responding to the movie.
Yeah, no.
The bonus episode for people who sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, for our Patreon.
Yeah. But that was a great experience.
That's fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Sad I missed it.
And now I'm ready for the jingle. I know we've talked a lot about Annabelle, but we do have an author of the week. And I'm so excited to see what you've prepared for her jingle.
I can just press play.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear what you recorded.
Let me think.
Think?
No, yeah, I mean...
You forgot how to press play?
Yeah, I got it. There's things in my head I need to straighten out before I press play. How about this? It's 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top with Carley Fortune cruising the streets. Oh yeah, we got a real super duper little author that is our author of the week.
Nice. Okay.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I have to stop you there because I know you'll start
pulled up, anticipating.
You know, see y'all. This is not karaoke song.
Don't keep me waiting. I got hands.
Okay. See, this is when your clothes start coming off during karaoke. That is true. So we have to stop right there. True. Yeah, but Carley Fortune is our author of the week. So excited to spotlight her. She's a Canadian author, and she writes about Canada, which I love. She just had a book come out May 6th called One Golden Summer, and it's actually a bit of a sequel. It goes back to a character from her first book. So I'm actually reading her first book right now, which is called Every Summer After. And it's about a girl whose family buys a cottage on a lake in Canada in a little town called Barry's Bay, like 1,200 people, but I guess there's an area of Canada that is like cottage country basically. And so they'll have a small population throughout the year, but then during the summer it's a tourist area and people come to their little cottages. And so then, you know,
kind of like Wakan,
kind of like Abby's Wakan, Minnesota. Yeah. And in real life, Chincoteague Island, where we go vacation off the coast of Virginia in the summers. But I read her book called This Summer Will Be Different first, probably a couple months ago. And I remember the first thing I told you about it, other than loving it, was it was set at Prince Edward Island. And I didn't really know anything about that area. And the first thing I said is, we have to plan a trip.
This is when you started yelling at me about going.
Yes, and traveling, and yes, yelling specifically, yes. But I was thinking how fun it would be to take a trip up there. I mean, I've always wanted to go to like Toronto and Niagara Falls and things like that. And so I was like, it'd be really neat to spend some time at Prince Edward Island. But I just remember I really enjoyed the story and the characters. But like the setting was a character in itself. And it just really made me want to travel. And so I was reading this article where someone was interviewing her about this new book. It's called The Kit was the name of the magazine or online.
You really like books where the location is a big part of it.
It's important to me. But she was just talking about that, how, you know, she originally was from Australia, but mostly grew up in Barry's Bay. It's a real place near Ontario. And that during the pandemic, so she was a journalist. She has a degree in journalism, and she was like an editor at, you know, Refined 29 Canada. Or Refinery 29 Canada, that she helped launch that, and then she was like an executive editor. And when the pandemic hit, she was pregnant and was just really feeling burnt out. She'd spent all this time in journalism, but I think she just talked about how she was like wanting to tell like more personal and like emotionally rich story. So she spent the summer of 2020 writing Every Summer After, which is her first book, and that's the one I'm reading right now. And so when that launched, it ended up doing really well. And she was talking about how some of the first publishers that she met with were kind of hesitant about her setting it in Canada, and just said like Americans don't really want to read that. But now that's like the thing that people are most drawn to. And they've seen like a spike in Canadian tourism and stuff because of people wanting to go and visit these places that she writes about. But yeah, so this first book is so cute with this girl and her family that bought this little cottage. And so they go up, and next door is a woman who her husband had passed away, and she has 2 teenage boys, and they own a restaurant there in the town. That's like the restaurant. And so she cooks, and the boys help out and things like that. And so the book is told over like 6 summers of her going up and, spending time with these boys. And she's really close with the younger one, Sam, who's her age. And then he has an older brother, Charlie, who's kind of like the aggravating older brother who likes to pick at you and stuff like that. But it's just so cute. And so, but you're also going back and forth between present day, where that like the 2 of them eventually dated, and then something really bad happened, some really bad mess up, and they haven't talked in like 12 years. And so the book picks up, and again, like no spoilers, this is all right.
How do you feel about books that bounce back and forth like that?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, you do? Because I know you really dislike time travel movies.
Well, that time travel is different from like thinking of your past.
I mean, kind of. I mean, they're both
I just
parsing out the story in different ways.
My brain does not conceptually understand time travel. Okay. So sure. If you're thinking back to something that happened, like, yeah, that's a memory that exists. That thing happened. Okay. But when you suddenly traveled in time and now it's like Back to the Future where he's watching his parents at prom or whatever, it's like, what? That's not possible. Like, that already happened. You can't go back to that. Like,
okay.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Time is a flat circle.
No,
Everything's happening at one time.
It breaks my brain. It absolutely breaks my brain. But this one's going back and forth, where the book starts where she gets a call from Charlie, the older brother, that their mom passed away, Sue, that she spent all these summers with. So she's going back for the funeral, but she hasn't seen Sam or Charlie in 12 years since whatever this big breakup thing, bad thing happened. So I will say there's a little frustration as a reader of like, she keeps referencing the big, terrible, awful thing, but I'm like, would somebody really draw this out, or would they just, if they're reminiscing, like think what the thing was? So I'm kind of like, get to what it was, but I understand we have to build. Like, there's structure and stuff needed, but it's so fantastic, and I'm really enjoying it. I loved This Summer Will Be Different. That was one where a girl and her friend were going to Prince Edward Island, and she just told her the only rule was you can't fall in love with my brother. And she's like, okay, sure, whatever. Well,
let me guess what happens.
There's flights delayed, something. She gets there early, so she goes to a restaurant to kill time, meets this cute bartender, ends up going home with him. Of course, he's the brother.
Wow.
So then the book is them getting together every summer and promising like, this summer is going to be different. We're not going to secretly hook up behind my sister's back and all that. But like I said, that was at Prince Edward Island. It was such a beautiful setting. She has Meet Me at the Lake, which was her 2023 book. And that one, several of her books are being optioned for TV. So the one I'm reading right now, Every Summer After, the name has been changed to Every Year After, and that's being produced. She's co-producing it with Amazon Prime.
Oh, nice.
So that's like in production. Then her second book, Meet Me at the Lake, which was like a second chance romance, also at a lakeside resort in Canada. That one was purchased by the Duke and Duchess, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, with Archwell Productions and Netflix. So they're producing that together. So she's excited about that. And so I think This Summer Will Be Different might have also been optioned, but I don't know what the status of that is. But with One Golden Summer, her book that just released May 6th, it's about Charlie, that kind of aggravating older brother. It's going back and it's his story. And so she said that she hadn't originally planned to go back and give him a book, but that readers kept really wanting like a happy ever after for him. And so she was just saying how she viewed him was that like, he was that like picky, aggravating older brother. But she said, what I realized is like, you have to really pay attention to people and like notice things that other people don't, because his stuff was all like lighthearted and harmless and stuff. And so she said like, he's just a really like perceptive person. So I thought that was
That's
interesting.
interesting. That's
of
a
like
character trait.
Yeah, I thought that
Perceptive.
too, of that you have to be perceptive in a certain way to know how to like kind of rid people and tease them, but in
Okay.
like that loving, lighthearted way where you're not a jerk. You know, they still love you, they still laugh, but it's like,
That's interesting.
yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
this is his story, but she said it was challenging because you always start with the female, and then the male
Mhm.
comes out of what does she need, which is what
Mhm.
we're learning, how we've developed Indy
Right.
first, and now we're developing Alex and talking about, you know, who he is, but it's all in response to what Indy needs. That's how Alex is being created. But she said this one was challenging because she started with Charlie. And so she said it was more difficult to like start with the male lead first. But you'll love this. The lead of this new book, One Golden Summer, is her name's Alice, and she's a photographer.
Okay.
I knew you'd like that because you
Yes,
really
we
wanted
talked about it.
something, yeah,
Oh, I
something
wanted
with
a photographer.
photography.
I was thinking, as you mentioned, all these books being optioned for movies, TV, like we should review them. We should review them on the podcast
That's a good idea.
as they
Yeah,
come out. We should
ones that
figure out
have
what
been, yeah, books that we've read that
books
have
we've read.
come out. Yeah, yeah, because some of these
Okay.
other ones are going to be coming soon. But yeah, and I kind of like the idea that, you know, she started with the male this time, and so then she had to kind
Yeah,
of
but
craft like
different.
who does he need?
I'd be interested to see how you write a character that is perceptive. I feel like in a video visual format, it would be easier
Mm-hmm.
because the camera can be the focus of the person, like, you know, their eyesight, their eye line.
Yep.
But when you write about it, I wonder how detailed, how specific you have to get about them perceiving something.
Yeah, how do you?
Like, what does that look like?
In this book that I'm reading, her first book, it is so subtle with Charlie. Like he is just this like he's the 17-year-old older brother. He never has a shirt on, you know, everything is like he's so cool. Why don't you just kiss her? You know, whatever, like making it awkward for them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like he's the oldest child in a situation where his parent has died, his dad died, so he's kind of like taking on some of the responsibility, keeping an eye on his mom and his younger brother and the restaurant. Yeah. And so I'm interested to see like how he continues to develop in this book, her first book I haven't finished. And then I want to read One Golden Summer, that is his story where you're really gonna get in his head. But yeah, I like that. She just talked about too how important chemistry is, obviously, like with a romance or a rom-com, that she really loves that moment of like moving it from platonic to romantic, where it's like you can't go back from that, and she just really wants this like physical reaction from her readers when you hit that point.
Okay.
And so she talks about like just romance novels in general. It sounds like, you know, she was a very busy working mom, again, kind of like writing what she knows. She grew up in this area of Canada, Barry's Bay, and her parents ran the restaurant in this small little town, you know, that was the touristy cottage town or whatever. She was an editor and journalist, which Persephone, who goes by Percy in this story, that's what she's grown up to be. Yeah, Persephone, I love it. Yeah, she loves horror movies, and yeah, the Persephone was like the goddess of the underworld and all that. So yeah, kind of fun. But you know, Persephone grows up to be a journalist and editor, even though she wanted to be an author. So I love how she really leans on what she knows. But she was saying how when she was in her like busiest, most tired, she started reading romance novels. And she was talking about how for a long time there was a lot of shame with that or whatever. But she said romance readers are like the most voracious readers. This is from the Kit article. But she started in 2018 when she had like stressful job, busy toddler. She started with the book To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han, which also became a Netflix show, major Netflix show. So maybe that one we could read and review. But she was just liking how it was such a delight to like take the break from what she called, this was her quote, trash fire that is my life right now, to read this book. And so she was just saying like sometimes romance novels are very emotional and sometimes they're quite funny and you're guaranteed a happy ending, which is all I could deal with at the time. And also they're about how women were making their way through the world. So just once again, it's like I really relate to that. That was kind of like how I got back into reading, and then you and I kind of started to share that together and how, you know, our book has come about. And so, yeah, I just really love that. She's married and has 2 boys and lives in Canada. And, you know, now she's a full-time author and has had to like get to know that new identity.
Put her on the list. We'll have to read some more.
I know. I'm really loving it. I think we'll have to read.
Yeah, you've been talking about how much you like this book.
Yeah, and I want to go to Canada now. So
yeah,
for sure. But I just love like the working mom hustle, and she's really about the settings and like summer. I love this summer sacred to her. Her father was a professional chef, so there's like the chef roots and the connection with that, and how she does it in this first book that I'm reading. Her love of food is also like woven into the stories, how the characters like cook and savor and bond over meals and stuff, in a way that is like warm and personal. But yeah, she's been really open about her own experiences, like postpartum anxiety and OCD, and just like incorporating mental health struggles and honesty in her books. And so, just with you having the writing background, she talks about her like journalism instincts and how that helped teach her pacing and structure. And so that's the part that I've been learning through this process, but how she brings that in with her plot twists and character arcs. And things like that. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to spotlight Carley Fortune this week and her new book, One Golden Summer. But I just encourage, if you haven't read something of her, start at the beginning with Every Summer After. I did read This Summer Will Be Different first, which like there are kind of Easter eggs, like where they all occur in the same universe, but they're certainly not like sequels of each other. But we follow Brady Lockerbie on Instagram, and she's reading One Golden Summer right now, and she recommended reading Every Summer After first. Like it's not necessary, but just that there's so many little Easter eggs and nods to her original book in this new one. So yeah, check it out.
Sounds like you're fortunate to be reading that.
I am. We love Carley Fortune, so please go check her out.
Go check her out. Go find her. That's maybe we need to start flipping these, because we talk about these great authors and all the great stuff they do and the amazing books, and then we're like, let's talk about our book.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's motivating, sometimes it's like, man, these people
it's intimidating. They're so good. They are so talented. But I will say, like, it helps with inspiration, and just when I read and I learn about them and their personal lives and I see so many similarities, it's also really encouraging,
Sure.
and hearing like Annabelle's advice about we're doing that. We've done that. We're reading different genres, different authors, and writing the book that we can write. I think sometimes I wonder, like, is it a crutch that we do bring in our own life? Like sometimes I think even unintentionally, like we're projecting in a way with these characters. But I also think I look at all of these great authors that a lot of their first stories did lean a lot on their real life. And I think that's not a bad thing. Like,
not bad.
We have a lot to say and a lot of experience to talk about. And so while it's a little intimidating, I look to them and go, well, they did it. Like, let's try it.
We can do it.
Yeah.
We can make something. Yeah.
So do you want to tell me what you're thinking first?
Yes. I have not checked with either. No, we have not passed each other yet. This is our first true reveal to each other with some thoughts we had about the plot. How many do you have, by the way? How many thoughts do you have? You didn't even tell me.
I don't even, I guess like 2, but they're similar.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, like, should I talk about some of the things we kind of realized about the characters in our talk in Nashville, or do you want to see kind of what comes out based on
what comes out based on what we wrote down? I mean, it reminds me of Taika Waititi, the director, writer, and his whole process is he writes the movie that he wants to do, and he puts it in a drawer for 3 months, and then he tries to rewrite it from memory. And the things that he remembers and keeps are the strongest points, and then he fills in the holes again.
Interesting.
Right? That's so we had our conversation.
Okay.
Let me hit you. I'll do one, then you do one.
Okay.
See
what stuck
and
out.
Like you said, mine are kind of close to each other.
Yeah.
I feel more like the beginning and middle are pretty close, and then how it kind of lands at the end's a little different.
Okay.
And I think that shapes Alex's story.
Yeah. And I will say, just like you said, we have not run this past each other, so
they could be the same. They could
be the same, but like we could also be pitching totally different things. Like
100,000%.
Like you might have a whole full story plot, and I might just have like something specific about the character.
I was gonna go way crazy and make him the wind. Like the actual manifestation of the wind.
Okay, that's a You
know what I mean? But I didn't do that. I didn't want to scare you.
Thank you.
And make it like crazy.
Yeah, that's a bit
romantic-y.
I'm still shy.
You should still be scared. You never know what I'm gonna read.
Writing exercise with the hairy guy. Yeah.
Okay, so let me hit you with the first thought.
Okay.
Right. So we know that Anna is like laser focused on running Zoe's international tour. Basically, she's like never missing a beat. She's buttoned up. She's doing her thing. And then Zoe kind of hires the chef Alex to be on the tour, on the international tour, to come with them, be their chef, and make sure they get fed, feed the crew, et cetera, et cetera. And Anna, of course, is wary, mostly because I think their dynamic is that she's buttoned up and all this stuff, and then he's pretty loose and easygoing. And, if things are 1 minute late on the schedule side, he's not going to freak out about it, which is kind of interesting because as a chef, you would think structure. But I think his type of cooking, which will probably be some sort of like barbecue fusion, it's slow, it's methodical. And I think he just kind of lives like that. He lives a little more, he's just charming, but kind of low effort, a little casual kind of thing. And so that's kind of how it begins. And in the middle, they meet and all that stuff. And then in the middle, through small rituals and like late night meal preps, they kind of get closer and that sort of thing. And then he has this epiphany where he starts asking her, like, do you do anything just for yourself? And it reminded me a lot of how moms get in this loop of not taking care of themselves because they're focused on everybody else, making sure everything else runs, to the point of everyone's detriment. The stay together for the kids, like this idea of like moms are focused on getting the shit done.
Yeah, they lose themselves.
They lose themselves. Yeah. And I think she's kind of doing that with her sister, Zoe, in this case. And so he's the casual, like giving her space because he knows he can't pull her out of that. You can't just tell somebody, hey, shake them by the shoulders. Hey, you need to be better about your living your own life. You have to find that yourself, and find that peace, whatever that is. So he starts to kind of knock on that door. Is there anything you do just for yourself? And she starts to kind of think about it. But I think what we start to see is as she opens up to Alex, Zoe notices, and out of love and out of like, hey, I want you to live your own life, Zoe fires her. And Zoe tells Anna, hey, listen, go do your own thing. You've built my career, you built my life, this and that. Like, I need you to go live your own life.
But is this like, does she give her all that? Or is this like a Harry and the Hendersons moment where she just has to like make her mad so that she'll go away?
In my head, I see the scene as like escalating where she's like, it starts with, hey, I think you should take some time away. And she's like, no, she's clinging on to the fact that she lies to her almost like, you're suffocating me. Like you're too much. Like she has to tell her something harmful because that would never actually come out of Zoe's mouth. Yeah. When she says something just a little bit rough, I think Anna gets this hint and it really makes her disconnect, but she's doing it for her own good. Right. And so I think Anna, of course, is stunned. Alex tries to be supportive, but Anna just doesn't know how to receive that love because she pulls back out of anger, not out of anger, but like out of shame. Like her life was this job and her sister. Yeah. And she's untethered now. And she's just embarrassed kind of this thing. And she kind of backs away. Yeah. So she stops texting him, stops making plans. And he kind of just gives her space because he knows that being more in her business is just not going to help. Yeah. Right. And so I think what would be kind of neat is if she retreats to Granny's house and spends some time there. After Granny's passed, we've learned that after Grandma Stella has passed.
Sneak that in.
She goes back to her house and maybe it's a week or 2, 3, a month, 3 months. I don't know. But Alex is texting her small things here and there throughout the week. Hey, how's it going? Here's a picture of this. Hey, here's a recipe for that. Hey, how's this inside joke thing? Just kind of barely staying in the orbit, And I think from there, when we get to the climax, I've got a lot of notes here. She goes to the final night of the tour. Maybe that's what it is. She goes to the final night of the tour, which is in her hometown, which is where Zoe and Indy are from. That's how they literally planned it so that they would end up there. She shows up and she gets noticed by Zoe because she's just kind of out in the crowd, she's just kind of watching. And Zoe pulls out these 2 puppets and says, hey, let's have a story about the multitasking octopus who has a lot of arms and is juggling this and that. And the fox who just happens to have a spoon in his hand. And he's a fox and he's just been sitting quietly waiting for the octopus to notice. And then she's like, well, I think the ending needs some help. Can I get 2 people to help me? And she pulls Alex and Indy out on the stage hands him the puppets, and basically they have this really nice moment of, they kind of lock eyes, and the fox Alex says something like, "You don't have to juggle for me." And Indy's kind of surprised, and she says something like, "I'd rather just sit with you." I don't know, something in there. And we have this big moment on stage where they kind of reconcile in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that's good. I like it. I think I have multiple thoughts. I think one, I like it a lot because when I think to our talk in Nashville about Indy, one of the things I really realized about her is that she is very protective of the people. Like, she has a very small inner circle of people she trusts. We talked a lot about how she just does not inherently trust people because of her childhood and because of her past. So she has like her grandma and her sister, and like that's the circle of people she trusts. And so she's very protective of them, but she also is very calculated and planned. And I think that she has this mentality of, if I plan things out meticulously, there can't be chaos. There can't be sadness. There can't be, I can
she's protecting herself by trying to see the future and plan the future.
Yeah, she's very risk averse,
sure,
I would say, and like just manages that meticulously. And so I think like I like the idea of her getting fired, because that would really disorient her, because she is used to knowing where her path is going, where this road is leading. And like as a school counselor, a lot of times I say to my students, like, a curvy path is still a path. Like, you don't have to know where the road is leading. Just put the next right brick in place, take the next right step. But I don't think Anna feels that way. I don't think she would agree with that. Like, terrified. She needs to know. Yeah, she's terrified because she needs to know where this path is going. So I think to suddenly be in a space, like you said, where she's untethered, that would be so disorienting to her, because she hasn't really learned or understood that lesson yet of like, a curvy path is still a path. And so that's where, I guess, in your plot that you've described, the only thing I feel like I don't have is what we were kind of talking about with Alex, of like, who is he? What's his piece? Because if we're talking about what she needs, and, starting with our female lead and what grows out of her, I see him as needing to be more risk tolerant. And so that was one of the things we talked about in Nashville, is like, there's something about him when we think about like just story structure and things like that. What would turn her off about him, or what would she be hesitant to latch on to him? Like, because again, her circle is very small. So if she's going to let him into this bubble, like we just talked about, he needs to have something that makes him feel reckless to her. And we kept talking about that word reckless. And so that was kind of like what I spent.
The question then would be, what level of reckless, right? Like jumping off buildings? Or are we talking about he doesn't put his cart back at the grocery store?
No, and that's what I focused on, as far as like how we said, well, we may bring different things because we didn't have like a set structure of what we were coming with.
I think I was going to say, in this, I think the thing that turns her off or stresses her out is his loosey-goosiness.
Yeah.
I think with his meals and stuff, he cooks, he doesn't have recipes, he's cooking, but with love and heart, but it's always spot on. And there's a lot of subtext and layers. I mean, this is a 300-page book that I'm trying to condense into a 2-minute thing, where I think there's these flavor tasting things where, we talked about him having a superpower of being able to look at people and say and realize what they like. And I think that sort of thing, she doesn't understand the whimsical nature of his party trick, because she is so structured and regimented. She's got her walls up.
So planned. Yeah.
So planned.
She's thought about what she's going to say.
She knows what she's going to eat tomorrow for lunch, and she knows what the plan is.
She relies on routine. Yeah.
And he's not.
Yeah. And I think too is like, it has to be the perceived loosey-goosey, because you said, there's layers that he's not going to be one-dimensional.
Yeah. He's not like beach bum loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
He's like extremely smart and calculated loosey-goosey. He knows when they go on tour, whatever country they're in, he's going to have to make shift some lunch and dinner for the crew, and he's going to make it work. He's good at adapting. He's good on his feet. That's kind of his thing. Versus her, she needs to be planned and ready to party.
I like it. The only thing I would say though too is if the puppet show is like the grand gesture of when we went through like the beats of the story, is Indy or Alex, are one of them involved, or is this solely Zoe orchestrating their reunification, you know. I think that's something to think about, is
Yeah.
like, was Indy working
Yeah.
with her, or were they
needs
still
some-
mad at each other?
Yeah, some connective tissue in there, because I think he stays on the tour while she leaves the tour to go to grandma's house. But yeah, why is she stepping out of the way to bring them back together? Maybe it's something where Alex has asked, "Hey, can I be part of this?" And he makes that push to do the puppet show.
Well, and I think one of the things I really like that we've talked about is the letters or the boxes or whatever she's going to get from grandma. I think is still going to be a really important part of it, of just her journey through like self-acceptance and learning to loosen up a little bit and tolerate not knowing what the future is going to be, you know, tolerating uncertainty. But yeah, I like that.
It's an idea.
Yeah.
It's a direction.
I like it.
All right, your turn. Fire away.
Oh, see, but I didn't do like a whole plot.
I just need like 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just dug more into Alex because I really did. I thought about him being more risk tolerant and how she would see that as reckless. And so like one of the ideas I had is like, if you've talked before about wanting him to be maybe like a vegan barbecue chef or whatever. And so we've talked about him opening a restaurant, or if he has a restaurant. I was thinking like, what if his dream has been to open a restaurant, but he just decides to go through with it, but he's going to open it in like an abandoned parking lot or on like a rotating rooftop, like a pop-up situation. And so he doesn't have some like long-term lease signed for a brick and mortar, and maybe he's invested a ton of his savings. So what I keep coming back to from our conversation in Nashville is that her world, her circle is very small as to who she trusts. And he just seems to trust everybody, believe in the good in everybody, and lean on people. And so I'm thinking if he's opening this pop-up restaurant essentially, and doesn't have all the bricks figured out on this road, he just knows, hey, I have good food and I know good people, I believe in the good of people. Like, he's really betting on like the success of this being like word of mouth, or he's gonna go Instagram viral, or like he just knows the food scene in LA and they really like novelty, or whatever.
There's something I really like about this as you talk about it. The fact that him really trusting and liking everybody is, and I keep using this word incorrectly, but it's the only one that makes sense to me. Like, it's a different form of being naive, like we talked about Zoe. But neither of them are naive. Right. That's not it. But like that innocence, that openness. Like, so she would be drawn to that. She used to that with her sister, so she would be drawn to that in him. But
also terrified of it, because the thing that makes her feel so protective of her sister, because she's like, I have to protect her. She's so naive. She's going to get taken advantage of. Why is she so positive? But I like this idea that he's just betting on the success of it, and is just like, I'm willing to take this leap and try it. I might fail, but I'm going to try it because I believe in what I have. And I just don't see her ever doing that. She's going to need to know A to Z before she's going to do A, and so that I love the idea that he really relies on community and trusts people, where she only trusts herself, or she only trusts, I say she trusts her sister. She's now lost her grandma, but in a way she doesn't. It's not that she doesn't trust her sister. She's not going to rely on her because her sister relies on her. It's like, I think her grandma was the one person that really looked out for her, that she could kind of
took care of her,
relax around, and took care of her. Now she doesn't have that. So I think she's probably feeling even more that pressure of like, I have to have it all figured out. I have to have it all together. And so I just like the idea that she really trusts herself, and he trusts everybody. He believes in the good of people. And so
I really like that.
I started thinking about how like she doesn't really understand a detour. Like, it's not that she doesn't understand. Like, I guess she doesn't see the value in the little detours in life, the side quests and stuff.
Yeah.
Because she's worked so hard to avoid them, to just keep working towards the next thing. So that's why I like this idea of her getting fired, because wow, that's a detour she didn't see coming.
Yeah.
That she didn't plan for.
There.
Yes, for sure. And so it's like she needs to know where things are leading. She doesn't see the value in the detours, where he's like, oh man, that's where you rack up life experience points, and so I then started thinking about like, what is his struggle? What is the thing that is his like flaw? He feels so perfect. And so I started thinking about like how maybe he's kind of afraid to focus on his own journey and like dreams. And so he keeps prioritizing other people, but he does it in a way different from her. Whereas she's made, Zoe's career her whole life. He's just always like, yeah, man, I can help you with that. Let's do that. And he'll throw his energy and his thoughts and everything behind other people's dreams and not his own. But his dream is to like own this restaurant. So then I went down this whole rabbit hole of like, what if he mentors kids in juvie through culinary classes? I know this is a total side shift, but
different.
kind of come along on this journey with me. I started thinking about him and his background, and I started thinking of like other ways that she may see him as reckless. Is like he's trusting kids that
with knives
aren't super trustworthy, or like they're in juvie, right? And like he's trusting them to have these kind of important jobs with opening this restaurant or cooking or whatever the thing is. But I just thought about him like mentoring these kids, and how if he does still have a sister, I know we've gone back and forth on sister and kids and stuff like that. I like the idea of him having a sister that he's close with, especially like I like the idea of him having a niece and nephew that he's close with, that he kind of like has these like he's like the funkle, like that they come spend the night with him sometimes and they stay up late and they're trying new dishes. Or
so I have a question then. What is their interaction like, Anna and Alex? Like, is it a thing where Zoe has a show every night at this one place and they stay still and she gets to meet him in the city, or is she on tour? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because if you start to add mentoring, we're going to have to make time for that, of like, oh, he's spending time mentoring.
Well, part of it is fine. You kind of had this idea that they were traveling on tour, and I wasn't writing or brainstorming with that in mind. Gotcha. So I did think like that they were somewhat stationary, and like maybe he's traveling for like a movie set or something, but I kind of had him stationed in LA.
Okay.
But that maybe she would see that as kind of reckless, and maybe his sister is like, you're spending all this time with these kids and you're not focusing on your restaurant or whatever. But then I started wondering, well, what if that is his past? What if he was a kid who got in trouble? What if he spent time in juvie? What if, like, I don't know. I haven't really developed that, but I thought like maybe that's why he has a heart for these kids and second chances. And like that's the whole idea of this restaurant is like him building up the courage to open it and like believe in himself in the second chance, because he spends so much time spotlighting other people. Like him and Anna are similar.
So do you think that, and I don't know, I really don't know, do you think this leads to the idea that he's doing things for other people and with other people because he's afraid to try for himself?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they're similar but different in that way. Like she's doing it as a way to protect and to
she blames on having to protect her sister, that she has to stay over here in his bucket.
Right.
And he's afraid to try whatever the thing is, so he's constantly just helping other people do their thing.
Yes, but like big things for other people, so it seems really reckless, but underneath I think he's just afraid too. And like he's afraid to I still like the idea that he's betting on himself with the restaurant, or like the pop-up idea of it, but I just keep coming back to like there's something where he's got to have courage and bet on himself. Like he's so big on betting on other people in the community, and he has these relationships, and he like builds that.
Sounds similar to my second idea.
Oh, okay. Well, then that'll be good. But I don't know if that's real or not. But this idea that he maybe was in juvie himself or had some big mistake as a kid, like I keep coming back to that. And it doesn't have to be that he's mentoring kids or something like that. I started thinking about like, what if he's working with convicts, or and then I kind of was thinking back to the kid thing. And so I still like the idea.
Giving him depth and emotional depth and backstory.
Yeah. And I like the idea of him having like a niece and nephew that he's close with, that he has these like real heart to hearts with, where he's like funkle and he's super fun and he says silly things. But then like when they have these like little late night conversations, when they come to stay with him and they're going to try the new dishes he's made for the pop-up or whatever, they're like, that's when they have these like real life conversations where he learns just as much, if not more, from them as they're learning from him. And so, I kind of keep coming back to that, but I do feel like Anna has to see him as chaotic in some way that's why she would be they're in a verge to a relationship, or like just kind of deem him like, oh no, like he's too
they feel
volatile.
Enemies to lovers, like, hey, we're not compatible.
Maybe a little bit, not necessarily enemies. I
Sorry.
just think like it's almost like she's got to have a perspective flip on him. I kind of want her to think that she's got him figured out, but then realize like, oh, I was a little judgmental, or I judged a book by its cover kind of thing. And then realize like, and then I need her to then apply that to life of like, oh, life can be that way. Things are not the way that I necessarily perceive them. Like that, people can be experiencing life or situations in different ways. They can choose things differently from the way that I've done them, and that's okay. And they can still get to their happy ending. They can still get to their joy. Like it doesn't have to be the way that I've prescribed it to be. And so it's like I need her to kind of learn that lesson with him of like, oh, I judged him wrong. My perspective wasn't quite right. But I also need him to grow a little bit in his like courage, self-assurance. Yeah, for sure.
I like that.
So that's kind of,
I dig it.
It's kind of what I think about Alex.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful. And
it's like he has to realize that helping others doesn't dim his own light. Like the notes I had is like, that's how he finds courage to open his restaurant and know that it's like more than food. It's second chances and family. And like, that's what brings people together. Like, I think he's so good at the community piece and building relationships. And so I want him to find a way to have his,
Because then my question starts to go around, why is he in LA, a place notoriously not known for building community and relationships versus a smaller town?
You think LA is not known for community?
I mean,
I totally.
If you're an actor, sure, but otherwise,
no. I think LA is a very big small town. Like that's not the vibe I get at all. I mean, I think even what's happening in the news right now, the way that they're coming together as a community, I think it's a very deep community city.
Parts of it.
Yeah, I'm not saying like. Once again, it's not a one size fits all, but like I think I think about the fires earlier this year and the way you saw community come together, and then the stories you started hearing about these neighborhoods where these families have lived in these neighborhoods for generations, and like the churches, and I don't know, I learned a lot about LA through the fires back in January. And about like the community that exists and the culture and stuff, but yeah.
All right. Well, let me keep this moving then.
Okay.
We gotta keep moving. We're getting a little.
Tell me your other. Oh, sorry. Tell me your other. That's my only. Like that's kind of my only.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to rush you or anything, but I know we like to keep this thing around an hour ish. Okay. So thought number 2. It's pretty similar opening, different closing. Okay. So we know Anna is the rock behind Zoe's global children's tour. Poised, professional, all that sort of thing. Her identity is defined by being essential, invisible, and never off duty.
Okay, I like it.
Right. She manages the schedule and all that sort of thing, but never stops to ask what she wants for herself. Alex, the quietly magnetic chef, he comes on tour and kind of disrupts this pattern. He doesn't challenge her authority, but he kind of like sees her and feeds her feelings she won't name. Like I just have this really interesting thing where his dishes kind of match her mood. Like we're constantly getting this, when she's down, he's making something super homey.
Like you see how in tune he is.
He's very in tune with her because that's his thing. Is he knows what people like, and for her, he knows what she needs.
Yeah.
And so he's constantly feeding her, and they start to build a conversation. They start to build a relationship that way. But I think there's a little bit of a hitch at the start because he keeps disappearing when they have off time. Like he disappears for a couple days at a time.
I like this.
And she takes it as he's being a little aloof or something like that. He's not really being responsible, but he just keeps disappearing, but he doesn't want to tell her why. He doesn't want to lay it on her. He doesn't want her, that sort of thing. And so the tour hits kind of peak chaos, emotionally, physically. And that's when they start to share private jokes and leftovers and all that sort of thing. And I think this is where she kind of confides in him, says something like she's scared that if she stops doing everything for everyone, she'll disappear. She doesn't exist. Right. And so I think that's around the same time that, once again, I really like this idea that Zoe fires Anna
Yep.
out of love.
Yeah.
Once again, you know, basically like, you built my life, I want you to go build yours.
Yeah, she's got to find
She's
herself.
got to go find herself.
Yeah.
And once again, Anna's devastated. She disappears, not with drama, but she goes back to her grandma's cottage, like I mentioned before. She doesn't really say anything to Alex. She just feels this embarrassment and like, I failed and I'm not lovable. I'm not in a place to be in any kind of relationship. And I think as she's there, sorting through, she starts to sort through grandma's stuff. And this is something you brought up earlier. Maybe there's a Polaroid in a cookbook of Grandma Stella and Alex when he was like super young.
Yeah, so you find out that they knew each other.
Exactly. You find out that they know each other. And she sends it to him like, hey, is this you? And he just sent the voicemail back like, oh, yeah, that is. And, you know, she taught one of my first classes, or she was in my first class for this thing. I had no idea it was your grandma, but I never forgot her.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a entry in there about a soup or something that he made for the grandma, just somewhere in there, so that way 3 days later, a bowl of soup appears on the doorstep of the grandma's house. And it's that same stew that Stella taught him or something like that. And he sends a note that says, like, if you're hungry, come find me. If you're still hungry, come find me. Along with a note to his restaurant's grand opening. He invites her to this restaurant grand opening, which is where he'd been going in those off times where she didn't know where he was going. He'd been spending time trying to open this restaurant. And so basically Anna goes and realizes, oh my gosh, this restaurant is named Indies. He's named it after her in some way, Anna. And she goes in and there's like some of the grandma sayings that she's shared from the emails along the way. That she's like, oh, grandma sending me these emails all the time. And he's like writing them down. Man, I really like that quote. That's really neat.
Yeah.
So he keeps a couple. And so the menu is stuff they've had on tour that he's made for her.
Yeah.
It's like he's been thinking about her the whole time and really just missing her, but didn't want to pressure her.
I like that. One of the thoughts I had when you talked about her getting fired and kind of retreating to the grandmas is like this idea that her worth or her value was her job. Like you said, it's to be indispensable but invisible and never off duty. But like that was her value. And so I like the idea of her going through a little bit of the identity search of who am I without this. But like him and Zoe, if she's still in the picture during this time, is like trying to show her and help her realize herself. Like there's so much more to you. Like that's not what, you know, why we value, why we love you, why you know, what you bring to the table. Like just loving her for who she is. And like,
maybe he sends her food every week or something.
Yeah.
Just to remind her that he's still around.
Because I feel like they're going to need to be apart for a significant amount of time if he's like putting together a restaurant during this time.
Yeah, I think the tour ends. It's been a month or two.
But I do like that. And one of the things I just remembered that we talked about in Nashville is like how this idea of identity of Indy versus Anna, that she doesn't necessarily identify herself as Indy. We talked about like the background. Where did this nickname come from? And we said, well, that was her grandma's way of trying to draw out
push her,
the adventurous side and the silly side and the make the crazy choice, you know, take the risk, you know, that was her grandma trying to do that. And so her grandma and her sister call her Indy, but she always introduces herself as Anna and refers to herself as Anna. And so you had this idea of like, what if at some point she refers to herself as Indy? And that's when you're seeing this shift of like her
taking control
and like more leaning into this side of herself.
Let God.
Yeah, that she's just not explored before. And so I like the idea that if this restaurant then was kind of around her and her grandma, that was like he saw her before she saw herself. And so like he was kind of building around this idea of Indy. Yeah, I like that. But I like the idea of her going on kind of a self journey of figuring out who she is apart from her career or like what she does for people, like getting beyond the transactional piece. And getting
I don't want her to feel exiled. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like they're both still talking to her and how are you doing and stuff.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Just time and space to figure out
No,
who she
because
is, what she wants.
when you said how she felt embarrassed, like I could see her not telling him I got fired because that's going to be just the deepest cut to her
life,
because
her identity,
that is who she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to suddenly not have that, I could see her not wanting to talk about that or explore that. But like there's got to be something at grandma's house that she has to find and go through on her own. It's important to me. I would love the idea that grandma knew Alex beforehand and that in some way she had a hand in choosing him, or I just think I've talked about how that's something I've struggled with, is knowing that my granddad never met you, and just how much y'all would have liked each other, and like how cool it would be to find out that in some way he knew you or that you guys had met. Like I think that would be really cool for grandma Stella and Alex.
Stella.
But yeah, I like it. I just feel like I know Alex a lot better after our conversation and after these kind of like brainstorming exercises. And I'm excited to
we'll keep going.
Finish out the plot. Yeah. And
we'll keep shaping. And
yeah,
there's a lot of story to be told in between these bullet points too.
Yeah. I think like you said, is now that we've both kind of pitched this, is like just giving it time to rest. Like, who was the director? Who'd you talk about?
Taika Waititi.
Yeah. Of like, give it a little bit of time. Let's come back to it and see what sticks. And then we'll know like that's the truth. That's what's real. Because I think we're like finding truths about these people. So yeah, I'm excited to.
High five. Good one.
And let's do a writer's retreat in the next couple weeks.
Let's do it.
Kids are traveling and we have more uninterrupted.
You keep saying writer's retreat, but I think you're trying to get me alone. You know what I'm saying?
Put you alone? Maybe.
I know what's happening here.
Maybe. And then I'm going to be like, and now you need to write a book.
Oh, man.
Now you have homework.
Dang it. All right. Deal.
I look forward to it. And thanks for
Yeah.
traveling with me and chatting with me. And yeah.
And if you're out there and you want to hang out with us, come see us on Instagram at Our Next Chapter Podcast.
Yeah.
Go to our website, http.
Oh my gosh. No.
www.ournextchapterpodcast.com.
My goodness. That was a walk.
Was that helpful?
That was a walk. If you're still out there listening, thank you for making it this far. We appreciate you coming along on this journey with us. And as always, please send your feedback and thoughts. What feels real to you about these characters? What do you love? What do you hate? We want to know. But until next time, I love you.
I love you. We didn't talk about Stella. No.
I think you said her name plenty of times when you're trying to make this grandma be Stella.
Where's Stella?
You didn't do well being apart from her for 4 days while you were in Nashville. She didn't do well either.
Let's not talk about it.